Is the hour of Ignite, an hour of inspiration, love, and hope. My name is Lorraine Acenes. I am the president of Ignite the Light of Hope Foundation. We are a nonprofit charitable organization helping families in need throughout Los Angeles. We do many different food distributions in different cities. So if you're a family in need or if you know anybody who's in need, you can visit us on our website at www.ignitetlh.org and just click on the menu and you'll see our list there. I am out of breath. I don't know why I decided to exercise prior to coming here and I could barely walk and I'm shortness of breath. Anyhow, welcome to our show. I just want to say, you guys, God is good. God is so good. I had so many great things that happened this week, and I just feel like God is just pouring his love into different areas throughout our communities, throughout our friends, throughout our families. A lot of great opportunities and a lot of people are just connecting with the right people. And I feel that God is just bringing the right people into our lives. And I think sometimes when we get closer to the Lord, sometimes we lose certain people. And I don't know if it's because maybe they're just a little fearful of not getting close to him or they don't understand. But I just wanted to say we are doing so many good things. And I just want to say thank you to all those people who continue supporting us and guiding us and leading us because we can't do it by ourselves. And again, I'm out of breath. But anyhow, I want to welcome this special guest today. He is a fitness trainer. He's living a sober life. He's a believer of Jesus Christ, and he just recently got baptized. Please help me welcome Limel Morada. Yay! Right over here. So, this is Limel Morada. We've been friends for so many years. How long has it been?
At least 11?
11 years.
12 years.
12 years. Wow. That means I'm 21 still. No. And I remember throughout your journey when I first met you, my relationship with the Lord wasn't as close as it is now. And, I was still into the party scene, hanging out with my friends, but I was married at that time. So it was kind of like, I didn't do it all the time, but I did see certain things take place. I remember it was during your time when you were partying too. So I just kind of want to I want to be able to share your story so that way it could help impact someone who's going through the same thing that you were going through 12 years ago. Okay. And if you could just share with us, your journey and how things were 12 years ago from now.
12 years ago. Okay, let me do the math. I was in my late 20s. That was probably around the peak of my partying days. Mm-hmm. Just to kind of backtrack a little bit, I came to realize that I had a very addictive personality, I think at the age of 13. I remember my friend bringing a pack of cigarettes for the first time in middle school. Mm-hmm. And, we were secretly smoking after school. Mm-hmm. And I was inhaling it. And I remember, I couldn't even, keep it in and coughing and mm-hmm. I hated it. But the next day I realized, I was craving a cigarette. Mm-hmm. At the age of 13, I was introduced to crystal meth.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't think I've ever shared
that. Wow, 13. Wow. Yeah.
Crystal meth, and I think that was the first drug I've ever tried. It eventually led to smoking weed, and then 16, drinking alcohol. Fast forward till about 19, that was about the time when I found out I was going to be a father, which was Marley.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, that's quite of a journey.
A little bit. Yeah. That was the beginning of it.
Yeah. And so when you found yourself doing that, did you feel that was kind of like a way to hide your feelings, or maybe because you were going through some kind of situation in your life that was like depression or anxiety, mm-hmm. that was just like an escape for you? Is that what it was, or was it just because you just wanted to just to do it?
I think ultimately it was just being a teenager, experimenting, doing it, also being a product of our, of your environment. Mm. My parents I'm not blaming you guys, but my parents used to smoke cigarettes. At a young age, my father also struggled with addiction. Mm. And this is my stepfather. At that time, in my early, I think I was like around 16, and we were struggling finding a way to find like a common ground. And unfortunately enough, when we came to a conclusion that we both shared the same addiction, we became closer, which was
okay.
the wrong thing.
The wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And so you're at the point where you're going to become a dad.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point where you're like, okay, well, I need to stop now because I'm going to be a father, or did that not cross your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. My early teen years, before my mom meeting my stepdad now, she was in other relationships where she was like in an abusive relationship with an alcoholic. So all that kind of stuff was always in my face.
Got you. Okay.
Growing up.
Yeah.
But, I would, parents fighting, I hate to say, but there was a lot of times I remember in my high school years where my parents were fighting every day, and I could understand it was because of the drugs, the things that, both my father and I were doing. But at the age of 19, when I found out I was going to be a dad, I wanted to make sure I didn't repeat that cycle with my daughter.
Okay.
So at that time, I decided to go to rehab.
Okay.
Which lasted about maybe like 6 months.
Oh, shoot. Okay. So you went. So let's just say someone out there who's listening right now who is struggling and wants to go into rehab, but say, like you said, it only lasts you 6 months. So you relapsed, you went back to doing it again. How many times did it take you to actually say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to stop this. I can no longer do this anymore.
Oh, wow. So from the time of relapsing, I'll share a little story. So around turning 21, in my mindset as a 21-year-old, I'm like, okay, it's legal. I can drink now.
Oh, God.
So it started with drinking again. And then it led to the mindset of, okay, well, now I can smoke marijuana again. And then I started dabbling into other drugs like cocaine. I know, Lorraine. I'm like pouring everything else.
But no, it's fine. I understand. No, that's what we're here for. To share what you were going through. Because if we keep hiding it inside of us, all the troubles, all the bad things that we used to do, and we don't share it with the world or with people, then you're still embottling things. You know what I mean? You let it out there, you become better, you become lighter, you feel freer. You're like, whoosh, okay, I got off my plate because guess what? I am healed now.
But to go back into that from 21 till about 32, so January 18, 2018 is my actual sobriety date. So what's that, like 11 years of still 11 years of still partying before it actually hit for me that I'm tired of this lifestyle. And it actually took it went to a point where I had to lose a friend for me to realize that. I think I shared that with you around that time 6 years ago, and we lost our friend Richard to the same habits that we were all doing.
Oh man, what, from an overdose or?
Well, it wasn't something we never really shared, but we kind of all had. I mean, my close friend, which is his brother, never really shared it, but we all kind of knew where he was heading, where we were all heading. And for me at that time, I felt like I didn't want his death to go in vain. So we were all doing the same thing. I was getting tired of the lifestyle. So I was trying my best to kind of lead by example, because at that point I didn't want to lose anybody else.
Right. No, that's scary. And it stinks because sometimes you don't realize it until, like you said, until you lose somebody.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this is reality. This is not a joke. Like this is for real. It's like, it needs to stop. Now, I mean, I can relate to you because I have, someone in my family who's also gone through the same thing, and it's not easy. It is hard. But I encourage you, if you know somebody, a friend, a family who is going through something like that, please do not stop loving on them, praying for them, because prayers are so powerful. And, sometimes it does come to a point where like, okay, I'm just going to give up on this person.
Absolutely.
Because they're not listening to me, or they're not hearing the words. It's just going through one ear to the other, or your prayers not being answered. And you start to get upset. Well, I'm doing this and they're not even trying. But we got to remember that when they're in that situation, they're lost.
Yeah.
They're going through something that we can understand, but you could understand because you've been there.
Definitely.
But for us who are not recovering addicts or anything like that, sometimes it's hard for us to understand, but I encourage you, if you know someone who's going through that, just to not give up on them, to show them that you love them, be supportive, and just listen. Um, and so as you're going through this whole transition, like I see you, you know what I mean? I see you and I'm like, okay, I love this. But what impresses me from the first day when we went to oh my gosh, remember when Oscar's my husband, he used to have this business called Vibex.
Yes.
Yeah. So we used to go to these events with all these weightlifting and all these people all muscled out, and you came with Tiffany and my sisters, and we're helping working this show. And we walked in, I'm like, man, everybody is so fit, but it inspired you.
Yeah.
It truly inspired. I mean, it inspired all of us too, but we didn't get as buff as you did.
No,
but I remember you were just looking and you're like, I am so inspired. Like, I want to do something. And you did it. Like, you started working out, you started training, and then you created this business for yourself, and you started helping people. Share that story with us.
So I was always your sister actually was more into fitness before I was. I remember she would try to push me to work out, and I would be like, no, I'm lazy. I'm so lazy. But, one of my close friends, which is actually one of the owners of Fitlicious, Edwin, got me a pass at the gym.
Edwin, I remember Edwin.
Yeah, Edwin, getting married soon. Introduced me to the gym, and me having the addictive personality that I have, at least I fell in love with the gym. I fell in love with the results. Eventually, around the time when I became sober, one of my good friends, Eric, suggested that, I was kind of helping them with some stuff in certain areas for their business, for Fitlicious. And he suggested, he was like, hey, you should really consider being a trainer. And, thankful enough, I'm blessed. I'm thankful that they actually went ahead and paid for my certification and gave me the extra push.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that was around the time, the beginning of my sobriety. And that was, the start of the Club 360 Fit brand, I guess.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome when someone sees your growth and they just, without you having to ask, just says, you know what, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you. And that doesn't come all the time, but when someone sees your passion and when you have a special drive, it just automatically just says, let me help you. And I love that they connected with you in that way. And look where you're at now.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a huge blessing. So during that time, okay, so now how long have you been training?
I've been doing it for about 6 years now with the Club 360 Fit brand. I've been training clients for about 6 years. Again, it was around the time where I started my sobriety. I always wanted to have a career and just being able to help someone. At one point, I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
Really?
And then I came to realize all the process. I was like, no.
And you still can, man.
True. Very true.
But I think being a trainer, being a hairdresser, being a person of service,
yes,
it's like being a therapist, because they're there listening to you. And sometimes me, now that I've been doing this ministry for 3 years now, it's like you naturally could tell when someone's going through something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And yes, so you're normally, how you're doing is not a normal how you're doing. It's like, hey, everything okay? How are you doing? And it becomes therapy.
Yeah.
So you're doing it.
Absolutely. I can relate. There's a lot of therapy sessions that go back and forth with my clients.
Yeah.
Them venting to me and me venting also. So it goes back and forth. Which actually kind of leads into, at one point, me wanting to also be able to help troubled teenagers, especially when it came to substance abuse, drugs and alcohol abuse and stuff like that. Which now I'm starting to kind of tap into, going back into AA meetings.
Okay.
For about 6 years of my sobriety, I never really went into meetings. I was able to surprisingly do it by just wanting to prove others that I could just do it without it, because people, I felt like I was always that guy that I was like, he'll never be able to stop, he's always going to be that guy. So that fueled me.
Yeah. So you naturally had this fuel, right? What Okay, so during this whole transition, you have your, your clients, you're being a, you're speaking to them, you're giving words of wisdom, like you're encouraging them. Um, how, and I know there was a point of time where you still felt like you were doing sometimes, and in life, I mean, I've been there. We do, you go, and you still feel empty.
Yes.
And you still feel like this heaviness on you. And you still feel like, God, what am I doing? What is my purpose? What is this? Did you come to that?
Oh,
Or did you go through that process?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with my sobriety, I was kind of doing everything selfishly.
Mm-hmm.
And not just even with that, I mean, even in life in general. But what I mean by that is I was just doing it for myself. Going into meetings now, I get a better understanding of sharing your story. It's not just for you to have some sort of release, but it's also to be able to help that person who's walking through the doors for the first time,
Right.
who doesn't have the slightest bit of confidence of knowing that they could just get through a weekend of being sober. You know what I mean? So it's now I'm doing things differently, attending, AA meetings 3 times a week, and just trying to be of service to, people who are early in their recovery.
Okay, I love that. And how was it that you felt at this time where you were going through this whole season of not understanding but wanted more? How did you find God? How did God find you? Like, how did you seek Him?
Okay. So my sobriety was just back in January, and it was weird because at the end of 2023, I started feeling like I was plateauing spiritually. My life was declining a little bit. Um, I've always been a believer of having a higher power, right?
Right.
However, and to backtrack a little bit, I was raised as a Catholic, and I was I always believed that I had a higher power, but I always had one foot in, one foot out when it came to like religion, right?
Right.
So I told myself at the end of 2023, my New Year's resolution was like, let me find God and try to build a relationship with Him. And January 22nd was actually the date where He answered my prayer, but not necessarily in the form that I wanted it to be. But I got into a car accident, make a long story short.
Yeah. Oh.
And the reason why that car at that time meant so much to me, not only can we idolize people, we can idolize objects, right? So during a time where I was experiencing like a failed 10-year relationship, right? I used my money that I was saving for my wedding.
Got you. Okay.
To throw it into the car as a band-aid for that. So considering,
that's pretty deep.
If that makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and I'll explain why that was so important. So as my life is declining, I felt like that was the last bit of what I was able to accomplish during my time of sobriety, right?
Gotcha.
The last important thing that I was going through. So my way of interpreting what happened was God was pretty much saying like, hey, I hear you.
Right.
But I'm sorry I have to do this to you. I'm going to have to take this away from you.
Right.
And to me, that I felt like that was the last bit of what I had left.
Yeah. I love it because, again, He's showing you like, this is just materialistic.
Yes.
Stuff. This is not God's love. This is not, you know what I mean? And let me take this away and see where you stand. Are you still going to stand strong in my name? Are you still going to have faith? Are you still going to believe in me? Or are you going to be like, well, F the world?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you had to make a decision right there and then, instead of you saying, oh my God, forget this, blah, blah, blah. And,
oh, I knew it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The typical mentality.
Exactly. You did what God was been waiting for you to do. Yeah. He's been waiting for you to say, okay, I'm here. I'm ready for you.
Yeah.
Because I feel now that you submitted yourself to Him, you're like, Lord, take me, guide me, lead me, direct me. Now He's going to take you to a higher level that you never thought you were able to do. And I'm sure things are happening for you now like crazy. Yeah.
A lot. And I mean, He continued to answer my prayers. I mean, without going into detail, I would ask for things, and it was crazy because every time when I would pray for something, again, it was He never answered in a form of how I want it. It's never like on a platter.
Right, never. Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's always it's always his plan on his time.
Amen. Yep.
And it's never, you know, in the fashion that you want to receive it. It's, you know,
you have to work it out.
You have to work it out.
You have to work it out.
And it's definitely, you know, there's always hardships, there's obstacles that's thrown, and what people don't realize, there's always lessons to be learned, you know?
Mm-hmm. And when I gave myself to the Lord too, like I felt like, okay, I did it. So whoosh, all right, now what? But I'm like, no. All these bricks keep get thrown at you. Boosh. You get heavy, you get tired, you get sick, and you're like, you still got to battle. You still got to battle. You still got to believe. You still got to have faith. Because there was plenty of times where I was like, I'm getting knocked down, but it's because the enemy doesn't want us to prosper in the area that God has given us. He has a gift for us. We have a purpose, right? Yeah. And it's his purpose, you know? And so I believe that if you do happen to go through trials and errors like that, just know that's because the enemy doesn't want you to go where the Lord wants you to go.
It's a battle, definitely.
It definitely is. So just keep fighting and pushing forward. So I love how you did that transition and you've come closer to the Lord. How have you seen your family change from this transition? Like, do you see your family getting closer? Do you see that your family is like getting better, getting healed? How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I'm learning a lot of things, especially with right now. One of the things that I'm learning is the way that I handle situations or misunderstanding with my parents, right? You know, one thing that despite like one thing I'm really working on is trying not to prove a point.
Gotcha.
Right
now.
Yeah. You know, whether you're wrong or right, you know, and if you're dealing with stuff like that with your parents, you always just have to be respectful and, you know, always respond in kindness and never try to act over them with authority,
right.
You know, and that's just, you know, I feel like the more I continue to read the Bible, the better understanding of what type of person or what type of son I should be when it comes to my parents. And, you know, it's easy for me to say, hey, you can do this differently. You can do this differently as a parent. But what type of example am I showing also to my kids, Xavier and Marley, if I'm trying to dictate those kind of things rather than just trying to be a better son and leading by example.
Right. And that's what you said. You just said it, leading by example. Sometimes we just need to lead. And we can't be the ones like, oh, you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to read this. And they will see your light because you're going to be a reflection of the Lord, right? They're going to see your light.
Going to emulate him.
And they're going to go, wow, I want what he has.
Yeah.
And they will come to you.
Yeah.
How do I read the Bible? Or what is this? Or can I go to church with you? And you're going to be like, oh my God, it's happening. Because sometimes if we keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to feel like, you know, offensive per se. But just keep being you. Yeah. Just keep being you, doing what you're doing right now. And slowly it'll be pulled in and slowly they will come. You know, I lost during the pandemic, you know, when it came with my children and the fear with all the pandemic and everything like that, everybody kind of went crazy on me. And I was like, but I kept reading. I kept showing them, even if they weren't listening. I know they were listening because I was just, you know, like worshiping in my room, singing along, putting whatever I could. And I know they were in the background listening. And so, you know, they slowly came back and I was like, you know, Mom, I want to watch church with you. Can we go to church with you or my husband or whatever it was? So it's keep doing what you're doing. I love that you were able to transition from this whole parties, drinking, drug scene. And then once you were done with that, you went to the whole training thing and you were doing, not that you weren't doing, you were doing great, but you were still missing that one thing.
Yeah. And it was definitely God.
And it was God. Yeah. And now he's fulfilling and pouring love into your cup and you're just going, whoosh.
No, yeah. It's a different type of high now.
It is. Yeah. You get excited. I mean, now you listen to the music, you know, worship music and you just feel like your goosebumps going on. You feel the Holy Spirit, like, yes. So Cher, I'm going to tell you, I did not get to make it to church on Sunday because Alina had a tournament, but I did watch you. I did watch, and I was crying as I saw you going into as you were getting baptized on Sunday. I was like, oh my God, that's Lionel. So I'm so happy for you. Explain, how did you feel?
My experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Before we actually started service, we met a little earlier, and we were kind of talking over, the background between baptism, behind baptismals. And they asked me a question. They said, I want you to kind of just take a moment to envision, that moment in time that kind of led you to God, or to the point to where you're at today, right? And it was crazy because when I closed my eyes, my life started rewinding in my head. From the time I was just sitting on that chair thinking, to moments in my life where it would pause, where either it was times where I got hurt, moments where I was lonely, moments where I just was doing drugs, or just, bad instances in my life. And it reversed all the way from what I remember to the point to me at the age of 7. And I remember the news when my parents were telling me they were getting divorced. This is with my biological.
Yeah.
And I just teared up because when you actually take the time to do that, you realize like how much you've gone through, and how much of that weight we decide to just carry on our own.
Right.
When in reality, it's like, you have the opportunity to give it all to God,
Absolutely.
But after I came out of the water, it was crazy because, you went to you go back to change, but I had to take really like a second. I couldn't stop crying.
Oh.
And I don't know why.
Yeah.
I do know why, but at that time I was like, I don't know why I'm crying.
You were touched
People
by the
are
Holy
just looking
Spirit.
at you.
Yeah, I know. It's beautiful. It's something you can't control. You know what I mean? It's like, like your body. Other people, I always get the chills. My tears come out. I shake a lot. Like when I feel like the Holy Spirit in me, I'm like, whoa, So, but that's beautiful that you were able to do that. There's nothing wrong with crying. A true man can cry and shed his tears. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's so awesome. So you've been sober how long again? You said
6 years.
6 years. 6 years. And we talked about so now that you're closer to God right now and you're serving as a trainer, what is your mission and your purpose?
My mission and purpose. I love that. Even the way I pray every morning has changed. I try not to treat my relationship with God like a transactional relationship. Every morning I literally ask him, just use me as a vessel, right? Allow me to be a messenger to kind of just, share the word, and, use me in any way possible to kind of reach someone who's lost or just in need, or just needs that guidance, so I can kind of bring them to him, and I trust that all the buckets in my life that need his attention, I know that he's going to pour into him. So I don't ask for anything anymore, and again, it goes back into coming into a realization. For 38 years of my life, I was living so selfishly. It was always about me, thinking about my life here rather than the life that I should be building towards him, right? So that I can live that eternal life with him. And it's like, it just blows my mind, because when I think about things, it's like, I'm not a selfish person. If there was a guy in the street that needed a shirt, I'd take the shirt off my back for him.
Yeah.
But then when it came to my relationship with God, I was very selfish. It was only reaching out to him when I needed something, or when your back's against the ropes and you're all tapped out,
right?
And now it's just, sometimes it's just being thankful to just wake up another day.
Amen.
And to just be of service to him another day, and doing things like that. So, I mean, that's my mission. And then also, when I started my sobriety, I didn't really work the steps in AA. I just recently finished the steps, which allows me to sponsor people.
Oh, okay.
So I'm happy, because now it gives me the ability to be able to do something I always wanted to do, which is help, like whether it's a troubled teenager or just someone that's just suffering,
That's awesome, Lionel.
That's it. That's all I want to do. I'm happy.
No, that's huge. That's a blessing. I am so proud of you. I seriously am. I mean, I look at you and I see what you're doing, and you inspire me. Yeah, I don't know if you know that, but you truly do, and you're just doing amazing. You're doing God's work. And even if you have 20 people and you help that one person, I mean, you're doing it. You know what I mean?
You inspire me too, Lorraine. You know, yesterday
you.
How we coincidentally ran into each other
on
the road. You're like, hey, Lionel,
can
you help me? You know, I realize how much more I can be doing still. You know, we all sometimes claim to be so busy, you know, in life. Yeah. But you know, you're a mother of 3. You're a wife. You know, you're a daughter. You're all of the above, and you still make the time and effort. And I tip my hat to you because
thank you. I appreciate that.
It takes a lot of hard work, dedication, faith, and you know, you're doing it. And
thank you.
I want to do the same. You know?
Yes, absolutely.
Whether it's in different areas, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or I want to help you too.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I received some great news today. I don't want to share yet, but I will share a little. How about there will be an opportunity for you to come in and help people with that have sobriety and stuff like that want to change and help. So I see growth. I see things happening our way. It's definitely going to happen. Yeah.
Use me in any way.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
One thing, it's funny. One thing I try to do now is that, you know, that doubt that's in the back of your head sometimes, like, don't do it. It's gonna like even for this interview, for example, I was like, what if you mess up? Say something. Like, don't do it. But every time I get that voice in the back of my head, I always just say, just do it.
Just do it.
So I try to do opposite.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool now.
No, it is
like
good.
What comes out of it is pretty cool.
It does. Like, for instance, I mean, I come on here. I mean, I'm not a very social person. People's like, you are. You're still talking about it, but I'm actually really shy.
Yeah.
But I'm like out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exactly. If I don't get out of my comfort zone, then everything's just gonna involve me. I'm just gonna be the little girl in the corner, not doing anything. So no, I gotta keep going, right? Push through it. Well, thank you guys. So, again, if you're not alone, if you're in seasons of darkness, depression, anxiety, loneliness, or loss of hope, we're here to let you know that you're not alone. It cannot be done by yourself. God is the answer. There's plenty of churches out here. There's TPC Church, there's Elevate Church, or you could just reach out to one of us. You know, Line, I'm sure you're available if you have any questions, family member or friends, or maybe yourself is going through something. Just reach out and, you know, we'll be more than happy to help you and guide you or connect you with the right people to help you to get sober. And then just start praying, and we'll be praying for you too as well.
If you don't mind me sharing my Instagram, because I want to be able to give people.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, definitely.
So if you're a male or female suffering with some sort of addiction and you're looking to start somewhere, you can find me on Instagram at Lionel, LIONEL _club 360 fit. And, you know, there's meetings out there. I remember before stepping back into AA meetings, I felt so alone. I didn't know there was a community of people that were out there. I slept on it. So if you don't know where to start, please don't hesitate to shoot me with a DM. There's meetings that I go to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Elevate Church on Sundays. So please don't hesitate.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm going to end it like this. Lionel, thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to end it with God's plan gives direction. Jesus spoke to the people once more and said, I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness, because you will have the light that leads to life. Without God's direction, you may not know what to do with your life. You may try a lot of things, hoping to find meaning in each one. But if you have God in your life, he will lead you and show you how to make your life count for him and in his kingdom. I hope this touches you in a way how it touches me. Again, we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Lionel, you are amazing. Thank you for coming on the show. God bless you. And we're going to do great things together, brother. Yes. All right, guys. Bye-bye. I can't even talk anymore. God bless you.
Bye.